Bitcoin not an inflationary currency. Bitcoin is a deflationary currency which is viral and getting stronger. When you work as hard as you can and you sacrifice everything you have in order to support a weak currency that's collapsing, you just service the regime. And when you put it into a semi-weak currency, slowly weakening, right, you still just surrender your hope and your future. When you put it into a deflationary currency, a currency that gets stronger as more people join, not only do you stop feeding the corrupt system, but the other side of this, which is investors in the mainstream are going to understand, based upon results, why a digital commodity is a better idea than a digital security. And that's happening in front of our face. I also think that regulators are going to have to move. They're going to move much faster. And as they move much faster, they're going to lay down expectations of the registration process to become a digital security, a digital currency, a digital exchange, especially those three. Those are going to be hot buttons. And as that happens, what you're going to see is that 98% of the stuff in the crypto ecosystem is going to shake out. There's going to be a few strong players that will go through the registration process, and they will grow up to be a registered, fully disclosed currency, like a Circle or a Tether will have to become registered and regulated. There may be a few digital securities. There'll be a massive fight over what that means and what you can do with it. The digital exchanges, both the crypto exchanges and the DeFi exchanges, will have to register, and this entire Wild West environment will start to dissipate. Bitcoin is the first asset that could serve as a digital commodity, and Lightning is the first open protocol that we've seen, open, permissionless, ethical protocol that has the transaction speed to traffic digital commodity. And of course, as we know, a digital commodity is something of value that moves through space. A digital scarcity is even better than a digital commodity. A digital scarcity is an absolute capped commodity, 21 million forever, right? If Bitcoin had been built without the halving protocol and it just kept adding 3 or 4% of the supply for the next 1,000 years, and it was otherwise distributed in an ethical fashion, it would be a digital commodity, but it wouldn't be a digital scarcity. Why can't I trade Apple stock on Saturday afternoon? Why is it that if you have Apple stock, your bank can actually lend it out and get yield, but you can't? You have no property rights in your equity if it's on a traditional 20th century bank. They have the property rights. They can lend it, they can get yield on it. You can't trade it, you can't get a loan on it from someone outside of your country. They have a monopoly on lending, a monopoly on yield, a monopoly on custody, and they only work bankers' hours from 9:30 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon, 5 days a week. So they don't work 80% of the time. So the idea of a digital exchange that gives you property rights, that works all the time, that doesn't charge you 100x more, that allows you to lend and borrow, these are good ideas. The problem in crypto, Corey, is they're all good ideas executed in a technically unsound fashion, in an ethically unsound fashion, and in economically unsound fashion. So the next step for us is clear out all of the unsound practices in the crypto industry and bring the good ideas to Bitcoin on top of Lightning, so that you should be able to run your exchanges via Lightning, your tokens via Lightning, your securities via Lightning, you should be able to run your currencies via Lightning. And why is Lightning, why is it technically sound? Because it's channel-based. It's like a shared nothing, infinitely scalable architecture where only the value in the channel is at risk. It's just an obviously better way to give functionality to 8 billion people. So what I would say to everybody in the audience, and especially the class of 2022, we have given you a good entry point into Bitcoin. We have answered the question of technology by showing you that the world's greatest decentralized technology is Lightning on Bitcoin. And you can launch 10,000 companies and solve 100,000 use cases in an ethically, economically sound, technically sound way. And you should just look at the first decade of crypto experiment was everybody showing you cool stuff and doing it in a wrong way. And the next decade is let's do all the cool stuff in the right way, in a way that build it to last. If you look at Bitcoin right now, it's going to be driven by institutional adoption as an asset, and it's also going to be driven by technology utility, and it's also going to be driven by macroeconomic wins. So when you look at the next 4 to 8 years, the institutional adoption is driven by the utterances of the chair of the CFTC, the SEC, by FASB accounting, the fair value accounting adoption, by the adoption by the FDIC. Decisions, if you look at BNY Mellon, if you look at BlackRock, if you look at Fidelity, if you look at, let's take Bank of America, pretty big bank. The joke I used to tell is when I decided to buy Bitcoin in 2020, I told my broker at Merrill Lynch, which is a division of Bank of America, I said, I think I want to buy Bitcoin. Can you sell it to me? And he said, I can't even talk about it. I get fired. Okay, and I said, okay, you sure? He said, we don't cover it. I can't talk about it. We're afraid of it. I said, okay, well, I want to wire $175 million somewhere else. So I wired the money, and I bought the Bitcoin, and I still have the Bitcoin. I did that. 2 years go by, and just last week, my secretary calls me. She says, hey, Merrill Lynch sent a bunch of documents over, and they want you to sign them. And I said, what? I didn't ask for anything. She said, well, you have to sign these documents so that you can buy Bitcoin with Bank of America, and they want you to sign them now. I said, okay. So now, they wouldn't sell it to me, and now they're jamming it down my throat. So that's like a leak for you guys. Presumably, if Merrill Lynch is going to all their clients saying, fill this out, I think the Bank of America has embraced Bitcoin. Big deal. And you can imagine Jerome Powell and the rest are looking, they're like, I don't think the economy of the world will take much more of the pulling up. They're going to have to take their hand off the stick, loosen up a bit. Otherwise, they're going to crash every single economy. And as they do it, we're going to see more inflation. That inflation is going to continually be a marketing driver. And the combination of those three things are going to play out against the new reality, which is Bitcoin is the only digital commodity. It is the only crypto asset. There is no second best crypto asset. There are a lot of things that I disagree with in this world, and I'm sure there's a lot of things that you look at and disagree with in this world, but I have the humility to know that I can't change those things through a full frontal attack. I can just become a puddle of blood in front of the tank or in front of the wall. Satoshi gave us a place where we could win and a strategy we could win. And the strategy is withdraw your economic energy from the currency, which is the rigged system, and move it into a currency which is to your benefit. Not only do you move your energy into a system that isn't continually bleeding you, but it also turns out that not only is Bitcoin not an inflationary currency, Bitcoin is a deflationary currency which is viral and getting stronger. When you work as hard as you can and you sacrifice everything you have in order to support a weak currency that's collapsing, you just service the regime. And when you put it into a semi-weak currency, slowly weakening, right, you still just surrender your hope and your future. When you put it into a deflationary currency, a currency that gets stronger as more people join, not only do you stop feeding the corrupt system, but you begin to strengthen the virtuous system. And Bitcoin gets stronger as more people join. Bitcoin gets stronger as you put more money into it. But Bitcoin also gets stronger as you put more creativity or innovation. Every single developer that builds a Lightning app or builds a new improvement to Bitcoin makes the network stronger. Every communicator and every creator, every time you create you see me, I share tips videos. They're wonderful. Tip if you're in the audience. I love them. I share the crypto couples videos. But when you create something of beauty that's compelling, that's communicative, you're making Bitcoin better, you're making the world a better place, we're reaching a new audience. And when you're working behind the scenes, if you work for a regulator or a policymaker, or I meet people that are working at a bank, I met some people the other day, said, we're at a bank, we're believers, and we're going to get our bank into Bitcoin, tell us what to do. And I said, well, here's my experience, thank you for helping. Every single person that puts their vocational skill into this network makes it stronger. When you put your balance sheet in the network, you make it stronger. When you put your passion into the network, you make it stronger. When you bring your organization to the network, you make it stronger. And this thing you know that it's only going to get stronger, faster, smarter over time. You also know that there's never going to be more than 21 million, but you also know that over time there's going to be less than 21 million.